what exactly went into the debt accrued by the unit. Hello, good evening, sir. Dr. Owusu Seshe. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Just months ago, I mean, you reopened to the public, and we're all happy just to hear again that the facility is closing down again. Tell us what exactly the case is.
I don't think anybody has said the facility is closing down. I think we are only giving the real situation as it is. We haven't talked about closing the facility down at all. I'm not sure where you got that information from. Basically, what we're saying is that the factors that led to the debt that was accrued was because of under recovery. And even though government has paid the 4 million cedis, between the time that the place was reopened to now, we're still under recovering. And each dialysis session that is done, out of 760 cedis, 380 paid. So that is also accumulating. And that is all we're saying, that if there is a way we can expedite the approval of that fees review, so that at least we will be able to break even. Other than that, it will come to a stage where services may be affected again. So we are not saying it's going to happen now, but I think we were just opening up the discussion on the need for us to relook at passing the. I think Parliament is looking at the fees and charges. Then I think if there's a way they can expedite that, so that we bring closer, so that we know exactly what is going into the costing of dialysis. And I think that is what was discussed the last time.
I see, but we thought that there were philanthropists and corporate institutions which often made donations to the facility. That hasn't helped much, has it?
No, it has. Actually, service is ongoing because of impact, because of that. But you can't count on the magnanimity of people when you are planning service. We need to be able to have concrete budgets, concrete plans of sustaining the service. And I think that is what led into that discussion about the need for us to maybe get Parliament to pass the fee, so that we know exactly where we're going from there.
So what's the fee submitted to Parliament? Is it a 760 cedis, that you're expecting Parliament to pass? Is that what you submitted to Parliament?
Yes, I think we looked at the realistic charges. And when we say realistic, we're not even looking at profit. We're just looking at breaking even, at least recovering the cost of the dialysis sessions that each individual gets. So we haven't talked about profit at all. And that's what we submitted to Parliament, and we're hoping that they will look at it favorably and then pass it, so that we will have closure. I mean, people living with the disease will have that closure that, yes, it has been dealt with, and going forward, this is the exact pathway that we're following.
So that will be full cost recovery.
That is the breaking even. So if the cost of dialysis, the cost of doing one dialysis without adding any profit to the hospital is 760, then that at least must be recovered. And if I had a renal problem, I think I'll be interested in that as well, because it affects the sustainability of the service. Even though we're not talking about closing it now, if we don't conclude it, there may come a time where we may need to take some drastic measures.
So, I mean, we're talking about financial access now, and the risk of, catastrophic expenditure on health, as it were. What do you think will be the long-term solution to this? Because, full cost recovery, or break even, as you call it, may not be, the best for a lot of people who have the condition. So it means that you will be gradually pricing out people who may otherwise have wanted the service, out of, the system. And that may not necessarily, be good. What will be your suggestion or your proposal as a long-term solution to the problem of financial access to the services you provide?
So we need to have a clear discussion, a clear policy on funding such conditions. It is kidney now, but there are other conditions that are also chronic that we need to look at. I mean, with a little bit of support, people can survive. So there is corporate bodies that have come on board, and I think we need a lot more because of the capital intensive nature of dealing with this condition. We also need to have a clear legislation on organ transplantation. We're talking about kidney transplant, because if you go out there, the dialysis is not lifelong. They do dialysis as they look for options for permanent solution, and that's transplant. The legislation on renal transplantation or even transplantation, organ transplantation, needs to be looked at. And then I think there was some discussion about looking at insurance coming on board to be able to help defray the cost of people going through renal dialysis. I think these are all things that we have floated about. I know that some inquiry is being made or is being interrogated. If there's a way we can expedite that so that we have a comprehensive policy dealing with this issue going forward, I think that will be very helpful. And it will put people's minds at rest, those of us providing the service, and then people living with the condition also know that this is a clear way forward.
I see. What is the relationship between your unit and the National Health Insurance Authority or scheme? Because I thought that a scheme covered some acute forms of dialysis or kidney matters. Is that not the case?
So the discussion with National Health Insurance Scheme is ongoing. I know that they set a committee to look into it. I'm not privy to the report, if any. And then I think I would not want to second guess what is going to be in the report. But yes, when it comes to acute means that maybe somebody gets malaria and then they clog the kidneys and then the kidneys shut down. As part of the treatment for acute kidney failure, dialysis is there. But when it comes to chronic, that is where it becomes a bit of an issue. If acute is managed very well, then there may not be the need for the chronic dialysis. What we're talking about is chronic dialysis. And I think that is where the clear policy guidelines will be immensely helpful.
So averagely, about how many people pass through your dialysis center on a daily basis?
In a month, we do about 2,000 sessions of dialysis.
2,000?
So I think we can do the math. Yes, in a month. So we can do the math. And that also puts things in perspective in terms of the under recovery. If you're doing 2,000 sessions of dialysis a month, and each one you incur a debt of about 400 cedis, then you can do the mathematics and see why we need to have a comprehensive solution to this problem.
I see. For those listening, maybe a bit of education, public health education will do. What can people do, whilst they are healthy to ensure that they do not get to the point of getting the kidney disease to make them want to be on a dialysis program?
I think there's a lot. I'm not a renal physiologist or physician. But what I will say is that we need to screen ourselves. There's a yearly screening which is done, and I think people will have to take it seriously. When you see it early, you're able to put in corrective measures. You're able to slow down the progression. And that is what I will want to say. I will not want to go into what the failure is and what are the factors and the rest. But if we screen ourselves very well every year to go through that screening modalities, we should be able to pick up these things early. And once we do that and we put in corrective measures, there may not be that progression to chronic stage where we will require dialysis for the rest of our life.
Thank you very much, Dr. Owusu Sechere, for speaking to us. Dr. Owusu Sechere is the Director of Medical Affairs at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital.